Kuzampo, I'm Chunizuk Selden and you're watching Bhutan This Week. Our main stories this week. Government decides to discontinue gedung from local government functionary. Commissioning of PHPA2 may take 1 more year. A new political party expected to join 2023 parliamentary elections. Gedung or gewog clerks will no longer be a part of the local government functionary by next month. This comes after the government decided to finally discontinue their post following deliberations in the cabinet in consultation with the Home Ministry and the Royal Civil Service Commission.
The Prime Minister issued the executive order on Wednesday informing gedungs to hand over their responsibility to the gewog offices within this month. The directive says it is to streamline public service delivery by emphasizing professionalism, leadership and innovations in local governance. The executive order asks the gewog administration to redesign the overall structure of the organization and to engage gewog administrative officers to maximum by redefining roles and responsibilities. The executive order further states that the government would provide additional manpower to gewog offices in the future depending on the initiatives taken by the gewog officials. Gedungs were last given a 3-year contract by the cabinet in 2019. The RCSC's organizational development exercise in 2016 found their post irrelevant. There are around 200 gedungs across the country today. For Kipchu in Pumthang, Sringzam, BBS News.
The Royal Audit Authority reported 70 different cases of deficiencies and lapses in the Chukha Dzongkhag in the financial year 2020 to 2021. According to RAA's Consolidated Financial Audit Report of Chukha, the lapses have cost the government close to 14 million yutam. The report was released yesterday.
The RAA observed 41 cases of deficiencies and lapses in accounting records, internal controls, and operations of the Chukha Dzongkhag administration in the financial year 2020 to 2021. The highest is a case of improper planning of a market shed. During the financial year 2016 to 2017, the administration constructed a market shed at Simasham, spending almost 4 million yutam. However, due to poor planning and lack of adequate study, the market shed was never put to the intended use. Further, the administration incurred an additional cost of almost 2 million yutam in converting the shed to a combined plant clinic and chemical store. The store also remains underutilized. The RAA said the Dzongkhag administration should have justification for wasting the government's resources and the responsible officials shall be held accountable. The Dzongkhag administration is also asked to come up with a constructive plan for use of the structure. Similarly, there were also other instances including excess payments made to contractors and employees and cases of inadmissible payment of salary and allowances during long-term studies, EOL and maternity leave among others. The RAA has also issued audit memos to all the gewogs in Chukha except Lokchina, Phuntsholing and Sampheling gewogs. The 8 gewogs were found to be involved in a total of 29 cases of lapses. The RAA is asking an action taken report including the disciplinary actions within 3 months. According to the report, the district had, however, achieved close to 95% in terms of budgetary utilization in the last financial year. The RAA says it will publish such reports whenever there are significant lapses and deficiencies to fix accountability. Pema Saldan Singh, BBS News.
The country's unemployment rate saw an improvement last year. It dropped from the all-time high of 5% in 2020 to 4.8%. The National Statistics Bureau released the Labor Force Survey on Monday. It is estimated that there are still more than 16,000 eligible people willing to work but without a job in the country in 2021.
The unemployment rate reported last year is still far from the pre-COVID years. Out of more than 300,000 economically active people, more than 16,000 people were without work last year. The unemployment rate was higher among female. In urban areas, unemployment was 3 times higher as compared to rural areas. Thimphu has the highest unemployment rate at over 10%. This means more than 6,000 people were without work in the capital. Samdubjonkar has the lowest unemployment rate. The youth unemployment rate also went down by nearly 2% last year. From 22.6% in 2020, the youth unemployment rate dropped to 20.9% last year. As per the report, only about 6,500 youth were without work. Majority of the unemployed youth were reported to have completed higher secondary education, followed by bachelor's degree. As per the report, the employment opportunities created in activities like construction, agriculture, forestry and fishing, and human health and social work activities led to decrease in unemployment rate. Gilidem for BBS News.
Sri Lanka is currently facing an economic and political crisis, with protesters taking to the streets and ministers stepping down. The crisis has caused inflation, sending the cost of basic goods skyrocketing. Some 230 Bhutanese students are also currently in Sri Lanka.
According to the international media, the crisis has forced a currency devaluation and sent the cost of basic goods such as food, medicine and fuel through the roof. It has turned the daily lives into an endless cycle of waiting in lines for basic goods. Most of the food items are being rationed. The Bhutanese students in Sri Lanka say that their living expenses have doubled due to the inflation.
The chimgi khanadi hemada childata loktab sumtabgira zekti asisi shunila tinale yakhabnolu zathungi chaladichu ta thoba kawesi shunila thobdigi beru yamada childa loktab sumtabgi tia zedi asisi shunila lokmigi kangil bombera thendigi esi shunila.
Since the country depends heavily on petroleum products for their electricity generation, lately we have been experiencing power demand management due to major shortage of fuel in the country. Daily we have 6 to 10 hours of power cut in this peak season, which makes it very difficult for us students to study.
nolongaje tobinigi gas shumola ingin beojin yani gas matoba smekangil tindila 차치딩하지 gas matoba 합디 숨 암치티지 조베라 데이슈니나 gas mato가지 lok미기 티슈 랄린타 마이비디라 데나 lok미스가 메모라 lok미기 콩기 아니 빌리안 스메 아니 로탑기베 고야신다이라 롱버기 아니 라스에 스메야 제디라.
Assistance for Privately Enrolled Medical Students, or APMs, has requested the Foreign Minister to increase their stipend amid the crisis.
The jungi the tatugi netangdi lu shijabdigibe machi lobchuchilo the mangilgi thekalu the APMS ki mangilda tele RGOB scholarship ki stipend gi through the achichi the yata sen nausu doji bawachi machi karalu the pento bomro chunimbe shunila.
The university tuition has increased with regard to drop in currency value against dollar rate, and especially the APMS students are more vulnerable as they solely depend on their parents' money.
According to the Bhutanese embassy in Dhaka, they are in constant contact with the students. The embassy says they are providing necessary assistance, including consular services, to the students. For Karmawangdi, this is Pemal Harden, BBS News.
The commissioning of the 1,020 megawatt Punasangchu 2 hydropower project will take 1 more year. The project officials say they are wary of seeing a delay if the inconsistent supply of raw materials and labor shortage caused by the COVID restrictions persist.
When the construction of the Punasangchu 2 hydropower project took off way back in 2010, it was due for commission in 2017, but the project faced few geological issues, especially during the underground execution works. The project is also fraught with challenges, mainly the labor crunch and erratic supply of construction materials, which have been aggravated by the pandemic. All these have led to the rescheduling of the commissioning date a number of times. Today, there are more than 1,700 workers, including 230 Bhutanese, at the project site in Wangdi. However, the project is seeking 1,600 more workers. Owing to this manpower shortage, some key civil works, such as the construction of Pothead Yacht House, were paused for nearly 1.5 years now. These days, workers are sweating to complete the construction of the powerhouse complex and the dam sites on time. But if materials don't arrive on time, works might get delayed. But with restrictions on the entry of foreign workers in the country lifted last month, the project authority hopes to accelerate the work. The project plans to bring in 150 foreign laborers from India via Thimphu soon. The managing director of the PHPA2 said more than 91% of the works, including headrest tunnel, surge shaft, and transmission lines, have been completed so far. The Punasangcho 2 hydropower project, which is one of the biggest hydroelectric projects in the country, is being constructed with a budget of more than 89 billion Newton. It has been funded by the Government of India with 30% grant and remaining 70% on loan. Once commissioned, the hydropower project is poised to generate millions of revenue for the country. For Chengadoji in Wandipodrang, this is Pamela Hardin, BBS News.
The recent death of poultry birds in Sarbang was due to an infectious bursal disease, or IBD. IBD is a highly contagious viral disease in young birds. The National Center for Animal Health at Serbethang in Thimphu confirmed the disease as the cause of the death. The preliminary test for IBD in Sarbang came negative, following which both feed and carcass of the affected birds were sent to Thimphu for confirmation. Earlier last week, 4,500 birds reportedly died in Chusega, Gakiling and Dikiling gewogs in the district. The farmers said the birds became weak, lost appetite and died. While the COVID-19 pandemic has upended all of the lives in ways that were never expected, it has not affected the agriculture sector in the country. Now, as the agriculture sector focuses on achieving self-sufficiency, it calls for renewed farm machinery to increase production. In doing so, the Agriculture Machinery Center in Paro recently had developed several farming tools.
The AMC has improvised the power tillers and tractors, which are usually used for ploughing the fields. They have added mechanized parts such as the bed maker tool and the plastic mulch layer. The bed maker tool can make farming beds by gathering and raising soil from its existing level. Following this process, the plastic mulch layer can be utilized to cover the bed farms with plastic mulch.
The power tiller tractor
We have tractors and power tillers, but we don't have machines to make farming beds. After making bed, we need plastic mulch over the beds. Other countries have those machines, but we don't. So, we are developing them here and they will be cheap. If people use our own machines, the prices of vegetables will go down.
That aside, the center has come up with an automatic system for greenhouse farming. The sensor will keep tabs on the humidity, temperature, and irrigation in the greenhouses.
Farmer need not necessarily have to go to the field to on the irrigation system or check the temperature or humidity. He can monitor everything through his phone. This is connected through the internet, so it's directly linked to the cloud. So then you can use this application and then you can control from any part of the world.
The AMC has also developed buckwheat de-husking machine, direct seeder, and mini tillers, among others. The center tested these farm machine prototypes and proved successful. The center now plans to hand over them to the Farm Machinery Center for commercialization. If shown effective, these model agriculture machines would be dubbed as a key contributor to the evolution of the agriculture sector in the country. For Namgyewanshu in Paro, this is Pamela Harden, BBS News.
Frequent roadblocks at Namling between the Bumthang-Mongar highway continues to frustrate travelers. Quite often the blocks cannot be cleared on the day and people have to spend the night on the road. The area experiences frequent landslides not only during the rainy monsoon months but also on dry days.
Continuous rainfall in the last couple of days triggered landslides at Namling on Friday evening. With darkness approaching and an excavating machine yet to arrive, clearing the roadblock on the day seemed impossible. More than a dozen vehicles travelling through the Bumthang-Mongar highway had to call it a night at the roadblock site. Some said it is not the first time for them.
The lamgi netam bewa chendi ngachi kari bom dami disura di juni mindula chungku dami disulu di dami sum lahadula lahai wiki nale apa trimshung la achi mahek chikale ya khajesa chila analu di gari chungku disu male khara dung chomela khatsa ngachi apa ki block chungku ji ngachi nana gi jodul pa chugi te ngachi sebe oil la phale ombe na heavy galen de mapala rasi masu te ngachi midi sugi se masu te ani beni de khatsa shachi nalisila libi galen laluchi aluchungudu laluchi mi gengedu ani bedalu te zani tunin gane mindu
te block timing ya te yale chuji dule tami sela te na hibda chuji duna te block chap te block chi wachi timing asiki timi sube junila te yale bazai nga de chigna tamba chindi na bazatu na tikti block ge chuni me.
People say the whole stretch between Ura in Bumthang and Yongkula in Mongar is a nightmare due to the ongoing widening works. The Department of Roads awarded 6 contract packages worth over 700 million Yultram to the contractors in September 2020. As of now, formation cutting, laying of the granular sub-base and construction of drains and retention walls are underway. The chief engineer of the Department of Roads in Mongar did not comment on the Namling situation. Regarding the widening works along the highway, he said contract issues, unfavorable weather, continuous flow of vehicles along the highway, and frequent roadblocks have hindered the work progress. Going by the deadline, the widening works of about a 63-kilometer stretch is scheduled to complete by February next year. For Sonam Tsring in Mongar, Khalsang Choden, BBS News.
A new political party is expected to join the parliamentary elections race in 2023. The Druk Thundu Thokpa is in the process of getting officially registered under the Election Commission of Bhutan and hopes to get it done this month. According to a party official, it has confirmed about 90% of its candidates. The party charter has also been completed, all its Dzongkha coordinators finalized, received over 2,500 voter support, and is all set to apply for registration by the end of the month. Lack of parking space in Tonsa town is a concern for the residents. One has to drive around town searching to find a space to park the car, making it a stressful ordeal. But this will not be an issue in the near future. The district administration is going to start the construction of a multi-level parking facility in July.
The 4-storied car parks drawing was approved by the Works and Human Settlement Ministry. As per the structural design, the ground floor is meant to accommodate heavy vehicles such as 6 buses and 2 firefighting trucks. The first and second floors will be designated for the parking of about 30 light vehicles. The topmost or the 4th floor will also have the capacity to park another 30 vehicles.
Dinalo shenzom nasigi te kha mi ngom yupchi ngapchu de chishom gi sago che zotin bidi te dizumbe dinalo ngacharagi RST gi office che gobe te die di thosumba dinan de zodi se te dile ngachara mi disu dinalo konyena sigi sago dinalo zodi se devishni.
The construction site has been identified near the vegetable market in the town and works will be carried out in a phase-wise manner.
Zongkhana bedalo mashura ngachara ta yale mayilnam dalu lochigi nankira dugube te dele legil dusu bombe dalu lochigi na dumasubli tendigi te taringa chigi karang sosobe spilled over begop di dilitendi join se devishuni.
As of now, there is no definite timeline set for the completion. However, the district administration said it is expected to take a couple of years to complete the entire work. The 50 million Newton worth mega parking project would be by far the biggest public infrastructure in Trongsa. Once complete, the residents, business entities and regular commuters in the district can heave a sigh of relief. Passa, PBS News, Trongsa.
Bhutan Indigenous Games and Sports Association has stopped compound bow archery players from practicing at the Changlingmethang archery range. Bhutan Olympic Committee issued a notification to the association last month allowing only the traditional archery practice. The committee came to the decision following several archery accidents at the Changlingmethang.
This is the famous archery range of Changlingmethang. Players, young and old, from across the country take pride in playing at this field. But today, the otherwise crowded archery range is empty. It has been like this for almost 2 weeks now. BIGSA has stopped the practice from end of March this year. Bhutan Olympic Committee's notification asked the association to identify available state land for the establishment of the new compound archery range. The association was even asked to explore possibility of relocating their office and all forms of archery away from Changlingmethang National Stadium.
Compound besa nyengkha unit digi ngachigi sosochina pogop teni ime didi kemendo bala. Ta bakshi di nale pogo sewachin di ngachigi honle di pogop maje se shuni mijela kachimsen bakshi di ngachigi kachin shili dele chiimela ngachigi lamsolme ngachigi kechoime dubi ngotaimela.
The association says it is still possible to make the range safe. They say training people and introducing licensed system to authenticate trained players can make the archery range safer.
Dato jumin eden sudi ngachigi nalu lalen tap mi te jongdar besa ngachigi jinira dado indira bero ngachi jongdar mibi che the kap khong na ga thomi te ro sapsu oira chabi ganle delente rere ninigi ga thop jomidigi matochibu ro lejum chammisugidi phada sudi shosho chada polera mi se shunila
da du se wala de tel phom chi china jabde mi dela na par tabe ngacha anda ani da chani melo ngachara ya joge se gishu chi china tel phom jab toy na lap order be yen nalama ngachara sasab ke tabe ha ngacha sasab ne sheto tombe desa nagi zila baji oi agi su tochi du mare noji tonsela tam ani mebe gone semkhale kachi keba achi kachi bedab summe.
On the other hand, the news came as a big relief to Bhutan Volleyball Federation. The volleyball field is located just behind the archery range. It was last year when a young volleyball player was hit by an arrow during one of the volleyball practices.
coaching na onrela even ang tournament ji gosure khongi midisuki dobji thabela phagita pha dase midu wa dagitama ngachilo merega se anjumchi dobji thamiji deisi shunila dadi hemawala beasi da alidisu coaching na homi bereya training chami hono tournament se mi hono asi mam themo sinodola ngimawal happela.
As per last year's data, the National Referral Hospital on an average received 3 patients every year from across the country who were injured by arrow. However, since the hospital doesn't keep record of the place of accident, the number of mishaps at Changlingmethang is unknown.
With additional information from Phuntsutnamge, Samtendolkar, PBS News.
That's all we have for you this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Chuni Zukselton. Goodbye and take care.